But they do go back till about 1996 in the Grafton area, and it seems to be a UFO flyover point, a corridor. When they're going up and down the east coast of Australia, they seem to fly over Grafton parallel to the coast. When they leave the Grafton area, what area they're seen down the coast further, so that we can try and get a fix on their actual flight path, because they may be going to the Antarctic, and this is what I want to try and prove. I've got about an hour of video. This is mainly the video footage is from the sightings of last year, between June and October. And the still photographs I took during the UFO flap in April, I used two 35mm cameras with colour film, and the video camera I had at the time wasn't very good quality with night vision, so I didn't use the video camera at all with any UFOs during the April flap. And that was a flap. That was every 20 minutes, half an hour or three-quarters an hour, there's V formations going north or south. They were just, I'll tell you about that later, it's just amazing. But I used 35mm camera with 1,400 and an 800 ASA colour films, hoping, you know, one night I'd do. I took a total of 34 photographs. The 6th of April, I took probably a dozen. I raced into town to get them processed. Next day, wow, what have I got? And I get the photographs back, nothing on that one, nothing on that one, nothing on that one. Oh no, I've missed them, you know. But I kept the photos, I didn't throw them out. But I took them at 30th of a second, f4, with about a 200mm lens, trying to capture the still frame of the object when it was flying over. And some of them were flying at incredible speed. I'd estimate probably 15,000 kilometres an hour, some of them. But there was other ones that were just coasting probably 70 or 80 kilometres an hour. And I'm trying to capture these in pitch black night time at a 30th of a second, just to stop frame them. It's not only Grafton, it must be other places up and down the coast, because they come from somewhere. They're flying extremely high altitude mostly, and they're going somewhere else. So if you're interested in seeing UFOs, I suggest that you keep in contact with the UFO groups or emailing services, find out when the UFO activity is happening and go out there and have a look, because if you're persistent and patient, you'll see them yourself. But just to give you a bit of an idea of some of the objects, back in 1996 is when it really first started for me in Grafton. I was laying down in bed and just looking out the big picture window, and this boomerang formation of 12 to 14 large yellow objects were going at a fair altitude, just cruising. And the whole formation was surrounded by a white haze. And each of these objects was quite large. I estimated at the time that the formation from tip to tip would be the same as 5 jumbo jets at the same altitude. So it was a massive formation of these objects. Then later on in '96, there was the big, looked like an individual boomerang-shaped craft. I'll explain the difference between boomerang and V formation in a minute. But it was, if it landed on the ground, it would be covered best part of a football field. It was that big. And it was made up of hundreds of small white lights. And I had one of these pass over the top of me at low altitude. I'd estimate somewhere around 150 foot. And it was incredibly enormous, and just these hundreds of white lights just going over the top of you like this without a sound. It was eerie. 2 nights later, I saw the same thing again, a little bit higher, a little bit further to the west, but only half the left-hand side of the boomerang was illuminated, so it looked like a lopsided boomerang. The whole thing was hundreds of little white lights, but only half the left-hand side was illuminated. When I saw the UFOs this year, this particular year, I put an article in the local newspaper, UFOs buzzing Grafton, because I saw them over the central business district with a witness. Took about 12 seconds at low altitude. This boomerang formation, this huge object, went in between 2 trees just above rooftop, about 2 to 3 houses away from me, and I could see it. I took 2 photographs because when I thought they're buzzing Grafton, I'm going to get a photo of this if I can, and I took 2 photographs, but that didn't turn out. But the whole formation of little white lights went in between the 2 trees, kept on coming. That's how huge it was, and you could see it through the tree, and then it continued on into the open again, and it would have been extremely low altitude, as I say, just above rooftop, going just the west of the showground, heading south. And 2 or 3 other people had seen it in Grafton, and it was also reported, because I put a newspaper report in with my phone number, and I got reports coming in from all over the district. And that particular type of object was seen in Casino, Kyogle, and a lady in Sydney rang me. So this craft must have been cruising up and down the east coast of Australia at low altitude, backwards and forwards. In '97, I was at work, and the fellows at work were pointing out to this Venus up in the sky. They're all there pointing, and I hadn't told them that I was into UFOs at this stage, and I said, "What are you looking at?" And they said, "Oh, that bright light up there." I said, "Oh, it's probably a UFO." Ah, come on. Anyway, they're looking at Venus. It turned out to be Venus. But anyway, come smoko time, I'm looking for Venus again, and over the top of one of the buildings came this silver white, brilliantly illuminated orb, a round orb surrounded by a white halo at low altitude, just sort of not very fast, and I yelled out one of the workmates, "Come down, look at this." So anyway, it came around just to the little bit to the west of work, and he probably 70 metres away from us, and altitude of probably 150 foot again approximately. But it was only about a metre, maybe a little bit larger than a metre in diameter. And I watched it for 12 seconds, my workmate watched it for 6 seconds, and I didn't say it was a UFO, I said, "What do you think it is? What do you think it is?" And I don't know. Anyway, as it went away, it sort of sped up and shot out further to the east. It accelerated away and did a curve towards the east. So that night I got home and I said, maybe if they're around today, they'll be around tonight. So after dinner I loaded my video camera up. No sooner walked out the back door, and here's one of the big orange plasma ball type UFOs just drifting past. Less than 1,000 foot altitude, extremely slow. So I went out and I started to video that. I've got some footage of that. And second one, exactly the same path, same speed, beautiful reddish fiery orange object. I don't know what it was, but it was incredible. Probably a diameter of about just approximately 7 or 8 feet in diameter. Quite large, but just slight. I've got 8 minutes of video of that altogether. When it went over the rooftop, almost directly overhead, I ran out the front and continued to video it, because you never know what they're going to do. If you're going to video UFOs and you see them, always get as much as you can, because they can do anything. So I went out and it faded on and off a few times and then disappeared in the distance over the Pacific Highway, and that was it.